Is it possible to design for Heimat? By Azlan Adnan, M.A. What is Heimat? Heimat is a notoriously untranslatable term in the English language. It is not merely home or homeland, but evokes a deeply personal and emotional connection to place, to rootedness, to memory, and to a particular sense of belonging. Heimat is not simply where one resides, but where one feels anchored, emotionally, historically, spiritually. It is a cultural, ecological, and psychological construct, woven from the textures of landscape, soundscape, people, smells, language, and food. It is more than territory, it is the soul of a place as lived and remembered. Heimat and urban quality of life. In an urban setting, the concept of Heimat has profound implications for quality of life. Cities that nourish Heimat offer more than efficient infrastructure or economic opportunity. They provide textured layers of belonging. Heimat in the city is cultivated through community markets, walkable streets, informal meeting spots, parks with native species, vernacular architecture, and the sounds of familiar languages. It is felt in the neighbor who knows your name, the stallholder who remembers your usual order, the alley you played in as a child, the small mosque where your grandfather prayed. Urban Heimat is not a utopian fantasy. It is a lived reality in cities that resist the total erasure of memory and locality. A cherry tree, for instance, may evoke a powerful sense of Heimat. Not because it is botanically exotic or visually spectacular, but because it stands quietly above a humble mamak sendol and rojak stall, anchoring a lived-in corner of neighborhood life. The smell of palm sugar syrup and crushed peanuts in the air, the buzz of voices, the irregular clatter of bowls, and the dance of sunlight through the tree's broad canopy, all these evoke a familiarity that lives in the bones and in the memory. That ordinary scene is not designed but grown. It is Heimat. Designing for Heimat. Many architects I know haven't even heard of Heimat. This is not a slight, but it is symptomatic of a profession that too often views buildings as objects rather than as enablers of emotional geographies. Designing for Heimat is not a matter of aesthetic styling or nostalgia-driven pastiche. It demands a deeper attunement to place, culture, and lived experience. It requires that architects, planners, and policymakers think not only about space and function, but about memory, attachment, and identity. Heimat is not something that can be imposed from above, but something that must be cultivated from within. So we design for Heimat? Perhaps the honest answer is not directly. Heimat cannot be designed the way a facade or floor plan can. It grows through time, use, interaction, and emotional investment. It is formed in the shared rituals of daily life, in the continuity of place, in the unspoken languages of gesture, scent, and sound. What we can do, however, is design in ways that make Heimat possible. We can protect the settings in which it thrives. We can design for memory instead of erasure, for participation instead of exclusion, for layering instead of flattening. If we can't design for Heimat, let's at least not destroy what little there is left. If we can't design for Heimat, let's at least not destroy what little there is left. All across Southeast Asia and Malaysia especially, we see the relentless march of highways and soulless megaprojects, places of layered memory. Markets, laneways, urban kampungs, temples, terraces are bulldozed for sleek but sterile developments. The logic of modern development too often flattens the richness of human experience into homogenized spectacle. Heimat is not part of the equation, and so our cities become not just unrecognizable, but unlivable. The ecological dimension. Heimat also has an ecological dimension. It is not just the human-built environment that holds memory and meaning, but the non-human world we inhabit and with which we interact. The smell of rain on laterite soil, the call of the burung tiong, the rhythm of insects at dusk, these are as vital to our sense of belonging as streets or buildings. Community gardens, especially those not adorned with the ubiquitous concrete basketball court or roller skating rink, but where birds like the murai, magpie robin, burung ruak ruak, white-breasted waterhen, and burung kunyit besar, golden-naped oriole, frolic, perform courtship dances, and call to each other during the breeding season, evoke powerful emotional bonds to place. They root us in seasonal rhythms, in bird calls and plant life, in the quiet continuity of nature, even within the city. Cultural belonging and continuity. The cultural aspect of Heimat is equally rich. It lives in the everyday rituals of food, dress, language, and religion. The scent of sambal tumis wafting from an open window, the polyglot music of pasar malam banter, the call to prayer blending with the honk of traffic, all these reinforce a sense of place that is both communal and intimate. These cultural traces are often dismissed as backward or inefficient by planners chasing sleek international aesthetics, but it is precisely these layers that give a city its texture, its humanity. Temporal aspects of Heimat. Heimat is also temporal. It cannot be uprooted and transplanted overnight. It takes generations to settle into the cultural sediment. This is why we grieve the loss of places even after they're gone. The disorientation one feels when returning to a neighborhood after development is often a mourning for Heimat. What would Kota Kinabalu be without the flocks of white bangau, egrets, in Likas Bay, or the kerbau, water buffaloes, in Penampang? As late as the late 1960s, these two species were also distinctive features of suburban Kuala Lumpur. But alas, no more. Heimat and nostalgia. Nostalgia, in this sense, is not mere sentimentality. It is a longing for a cherished memory from childhood, a yearning for a world that once made sense. It is the emotional trace of Heimat. This kind of nostalgia is not backward-looking in a regressive way, but rather a compass that points to what matters most in our relationship with place. Continuity, familiarity, care. When we recall the rickety wooden bridge we crossed on the way to school, the scent of guava leaves crushed underfoot, or the song our grandmother hummed while watering her potted plants, we are not just remembering the past, we are anchoring ourselves in something enduring. It is a pleasurable longing, even if impossible to relive except only in the mind, yet it nourishes us still, shaping how we love, remember, and dwell. A new mindset for design. Designing with Heimat in mind calls for slowness, attentiveness, and humility. It calls for policies that value cultural continuity, ecological sensitivity, and community participation. It requires recognizing that even the most modest corner can carry immense emotional weight. A hawker stall under a tree, a crooked 5-foot way, a roadside shrine, or a family-run sundry shop, all these are the threads that stitch people to place. What we need is not a toolkit for designing Heimat, but a mindset shift in which design serves the gentle cultivation of it. Planners and architects must become gardeners of memory, curators of continuity, and defenders of diversity in all its forms. Heimat may not be something we can blueprint, but we can certainly choose to protect the ecosystems, social, ecological, and cultural, that make it possible to emerge and endure. In doing so, we might not only rescue our cities from sterility, but give back to people the quiet but powerful right to belong. 1. Bolnau Otto Friedrich, Human Space, London-Press, 2011. 2. Casey Edward S., Getting Back into Place Toward a Renewed Understanding of the Place World, Bloomington, Indiana University Press, 1993. 3. Tuan Yifu, Space and Place, The Perspective of Experience, Minneapolis, University of Minnesota Press, 1977. 4. Norberg Schultz Christian, Genius Loci, Towards a Phenomenology of Architecture, New York, Rizzoli, 1980. 5. Ralph Edward, Place and Placelessness, London, Peon, 1976. In the Malaysian context, the term cherry tree typically refers to Muntingia calabora, a fast-growing, medium-sized tropical tree also known locally as Pokok seri kampung. Unlike temperate cherry species, it does not produce conspicuous blossoms or fragrant flowers, but its broad, shady canopy makes it a beloved fixture at roadside food stalls and neighborhood corners, quietly anchoring everyday communal life. A heartfelt light. To every soul whose hand did give, you've helped me dream, helped me live. In darkest hours your light came through, with hearts so kind, so pure, so true. Your gifts, like stars in deepest night, have steered me gently toward the light. Each coin, each word, each silent prayer, a thread of hope, so rich, so rare. My eyes once dimmed now seek the skies, and slowly, clearer visions rise. Because of you, I dare to see the world again, its grace, its plea. Your compassion's flame will not just stay with me alone. It lights the way for others wandering through despair to feel the warmth of selfless care. You've shown what love in action means, in quiet ways through giving scenes. You've built a bridge from soul to soul and made the broken feel more whole. So let this thanks rise like a song, a melody both soft and strong. May your example gently call more hearts to rise, to give. To fall into the joy of lifting pain, of planting hope where none remains. Your kindness walks beside me still, a light, a love, a living will.
Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to show your support.